Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. If you don't have a cup of coffee, well, it might be like, the afternoon, but hey, go grab a cup of coffee. Stand by. We're going to talk about debt costs, and we're going to talk about them skyrocketing and what's about to happen in America when it comes to, as a matter of fact, anywhere around the world as interest rates are going up. This has to do with you, anywhere you are, Great Britain, Europe, Canada. Countries that are raising rates are putting the hurt on people, and they're going into the hurt locker because it's going to get more expensive. And this story is about the US, but think about it in your own country as well, okay? I'm going to link the story below. It's entitled U.S. Debt Servicing Costs Skyrocket, $1.4 trillion in interest payment on the deck. Jerome Powell has been talking tough on inflation and clearly wants to leave a Volcker-style legacy. Just, a little hint, he's not going to. He doesn't have the guts to do it. He should have done it back in December, a quick snap high interest rate to get everything lined up. That would have been a lot less. He wants a slow burn so he could take the economy down. So let's be very clear with the plan here. This is not Volcker. But the U.S. is far different today than it was in the 1980s. The recent Q3 U.S. government borrowing report may throw a wrench in his plans. U.S. debt servicing skyrocketed in Q3 as the rate shock propagated to the $31 trillion worth of federal debt, a number that continues to grow at a $1.5 trillion per year clip. Because of the high debt base, any small changes in average financing rates have a huge impact on ultimate debt costs to the government. Now, this story is about the government, but I want you to think in your terms as well, right? The government has borrowing costs. The government has to live off of borrowing. We take in far less than we use. The scary part is you have to realize that there's a reason why all those agents have been hired for the IRS. Is here's coming to come after your money. And what's really scary is a lot of people actually believe. I've got a couple of complete tools that I know in my life, and I'm talking tools. I mean, we need to get a bigger toolbox just to fit their big brains in there because they're educated, right? But I would say educated idiots because they actually think that all of those agents, whatever tens of thousands of agents that are being hired right now, are to go take out the 1%, the highest earners in America. Yeah. I hate to break it to you. That is actually not the plan. Why take a lot of money from a few people when you could take a little bit of money from a few people, when you could take a ton of money from the masses? See, the real money in America and other countries are from its middle class. That's what the elite fear. They actually fear you. And that's why you are part of Ninja Nation and you are going to be ready for this crash. If we can get all of the middle class on board, and not even all the middle class, shoot, if we can get 25% of the middle class on board to save money and get out of their crap fiat currencies, get into gold and things like that, and, inflation hedges, think about how powerful that is. And not be in debt, holy cow, that would cause them to run. Well, governments are going to start raising taxes like you wouldn't believe. Our government's starting to raise taxes right now in little ways where they're taking away tax benefits, right? Well, they need to still borrow in the meantime while they're trying to put us in debt prison and take all of our money. They need to still borrow. Well, these borrowing costs are going up exponentially, and it's causing more and more pain. Now, it says this number will worsen as we continue to retire cheaper old debt and replace it with the costlier new debt. And that's true. As that debt goes to be paid off at much lower rates, now you need to go borrow more money at much higher rates. It says if the current 4.5% average yield curve rate propagates to all this $31 trillion worth of debt, we are looking at $1.4 trillion per year in just interest payments. This would be 29% of the 2022 fiscal year total federal tax receipt. Think about that. 1/3 of all the income tax brought in by the federal government would go to just paying the interest on the debt. Absolutely blowing my mind. The U.S. government may become the most leveraged and vulnerable player to rate shocks. When you rack up the kinds of debt that our government has, you can lose the luxury of rapidly clamping down on inflation like Volcker did in the 1980s. I wouldn't be surprised if Yellen is along with the rest of the market privately begging Powell to slow down. So let's and this whole Yellen begging, Yellen's one of them. She was a Federal Reserve chairman. Let's never forget that. And let's never forget the Federal Reserve is a straight up liar. They're in your face liar. They're not federal. They are not anything federal. They are a private bank, all right? They're the group of people, the same type of people that Thomas Jefferson kicked out. And I want people to understand that our founding fathers, which were absolutely brilliant, right? The way they wrote those documents way back when are amazing because they so are pertaining to this day. But also all of those famous quotes of our founding fathers about tyranny and do not let central banks control your life and get rid of them and have a free economy are very important today. Why? Because they had just escaped the clutches of England. And now those same bankers have weaseled their way in over hundreds of years back in and are destroying the economy right now. So there's no like begging you to stop. The Federal Reserve is here to make money. They are a for-profit organization. They want to make money and take your money, but they also have a fine balance of stealing from you and regulating the value of the currency, because this currency is total crap. It's only based on the faith that you have that it's going to be worth something tomorrow, next year, or 10 years down the road. But the facts are the currency always has to go through a change, a revamp, because it goes to zero, goes completely worthless. And this one is just happening at the same time as every currency on earth. It's called a reset. I know, it's true. And it's been planned. I know, it's crazy. If you're first to hear all about all this stuff, you should probably hit the subscribe button and stick around, because I'll use a little bit of comedy, a little bit of sarcasm to get the point across like a nail in the head, because it's real. It's very serious. And they are intending to rob you, but then give you a little bit of money, a new currency, and go, it's okay. We're going to have prosperity now. And they're only going to get richer. The elite are getting richer. They're telling you need to eat crickets and drive a Tesla that you can't afford, by the way, while they're eating ribeye steak on their jet, just cruising from neighborhood to neighborhood. They think you're nothing. They think you're peons. I don't think that. I think you're amazing and powerful, but only powerful if you do something that is very difficult. That is live today like no one else, so that you can live like no one else tomorrow. And that is, don't get into debt. Don't buy that Louis Vuitton. Put the Louis Vuitton down. I only use that as an example because I think it's one of the stupidest things people can buy. Then again, I got lots of stupid things too. But I can afford them. Many people can't afford those Louis Vuitton bags. They can't afford a $70,000 or $100,000 car. As a matter of fact, most people can't afford a $20,000 car. You want to know why? Because they don't have that much money in the bank and they're using payments to go get it. That means they can't afford it. Live like nobody today. Get out of debt. Slow down everything. Become meek. Build up a cash position. Invest in things like the rich do. The rich are all out going and buying gold right now. You should probably too. That's not me saying it. That's central banks. Those are the rich guys. The smart guys, they're buying gold. Should you buy it? I think so. Am I buying it? Yes. I vault mine, but I also think it's very important to hold it in your possession too. So I have to do it a little differently, but I think that if you don't hold it, you don't own it. You don't want counterparty risk. You don't want someone being able to come get it. I think it is very, very important. But at a certain point, it just becomes, you have to vault it, or go hide it under a tree. I may have lost mine in a tragic boating accident. All right, guys, let's just talk about that later. With that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.